Well, it is day two of 365 days of tapping into intuition. And what is the purpose of this? It's to see while meditating, while being still, while being quiet, and listening to the voice within, listening to the internal guidance, listening to the divine, listening to our gut, and then acting on it. Will that make a huge difference in a year? If, in other words, if I'm trying to reach or achieve a goal, will I get to it faster by tapping into it, intuition? My theory, my hypothesis is yes, we'll achieve results faster. Whatever it is that we're trying to get to, we'll achieve it faster by tapping into our intuition, listening to the guidance, and then acting on it. So, what are a couple ways that we can do that, tapping in? So, one of the ways is just taking 5, 6 deep breaths, getting yourself quiet, and just asking a question. And then listening to the voice within, just listening to hear what it says. And there's a very big difference between a message that's coming from intuition versus a message that's coming from up here in our mind, which is the control mechanism, is the ego trying to take over. One is very quiet and peaceful and strong. That's our intuition. And the other is judgmental. No, you can't do that. Forget it. Why are you trying? Don't ever do that. That's crazy. So I tapped in, and one of the messages that I got this morning, because I do it in the morning, I do it at different times, but the message that I got this morning was, don't resist. And so what does that mean? So it means, for me, there are times where I don't want to be negative, right? So, like, I want to stay positive. So what I'll do is when that thought that's negative comes up, I'll resist it and actually push it away. And then I'll replace it with positive. And I'm like fighting it. I'm like pushing it away. I'm resisting. And in the martial art Aikido, one of the things that they teach is don't resist. Use the energy of the person that's coming at you and just use that versus resisting. Because in resistance, it's much harder and much more strenuous to do. And so I'm feeling that message of non-resistance is the same in this case, right? I don't want to resist that negativity. It doesn't mean that I have to latch on to it. It doesn't mean that I have to focus on it. But I don't want to try to just push it out. Like, get out of here, leave me alone. Rather, I just allow it to be. I can almost be grateful for it, right? Because whatever that negative thing that's coming up, if I say, I'm grateful for that negative thought about money, right? We use money as an example. Then on the other side of that, right, if I'm having a negative thought about money, there's also a positive, right? There's a polar opposite to everything. If something's bad, it can also be good. If there's an up, there's a down. There's always an opposite. So if I have a negative thought, rather than fighting it and judging it and coming hard and attacking, I just allow it to be. And then after allowing it to be and not pushing it away, I just replace it with a positive. So I think that was the message for today, which is don't resist. What we resist persists. It sticks around. It stays here with us. We fight it and fight it. It stays. What we give energy to sticks with us. This example I always talk about, which is so great. If we're pushing a vacuum around and trying to clean the house, the only way it will work is if it's plugged in. The only way it gets the energy is when we plug in. And it's the same thing with resistance, right? If we plug into the resistance, if we plug into fighting what's going on, guess what happens? We give energy to it and it gets more power. And the more we stay plugged into it, the more power that negativity gets. So I think my lesson for today was when that comes up, rather than doing what I would normally do, which is try to push it away, try to get rid of it, try to fight it, just allow it to be, and it'll dissolve off into its own and lose its power on its own, and then just replace with what it is that I want. And that's it. It doesn't have to be a strenuous activity. It doesn't have to be an activity of fighting. Why am I having, if I judge it, if I say, oh, the resistance is there, what's wrong with me? Why am I always having this? What good is that doing me? Nothing. So rather just say, okay, there it is. I'm good with it. I'm not fighting it. I'm grateful because it's giving me an opportunity to also look at the opposite side, which is whatever that negative thought, whatever the opposite is. So it can be seen as a gift that we're having that negative thought too. And the more we learn, the more I learn, the more we learn to not get attached, to not plug in, the quicker it dissolves and goes away. That's it for today. That was the message. I will see you tomorrow for day number 3. We'll see what comes.